Good morning, my name is Alex, and in this short video, we'll talk about how you can take advantage of OpenAI GPT models in your embodied AI applications. So we're looking at the GitHub on the left-hand side, which is available called Azure Embodied AI Simple. And on the right-hand side, we looking at Azure OpenAI Studio Playground with the general availability of OpenAI service. It becomes available, and this is just illustrating basically my fictional character Clippy, and I'm basically defining the profile and the personality for Clippy. This is how it looks like in the head of this specific prompt that I'm building. And then through stop sequences, I'm able to generate completions. So this is just a very quick example of how you can take advantage of models like Text DaVinci. So speaking about how you can embed this and start building your embodied AI applications. So we start here with the OpenAI section on the GitHub that speaks about, again, this use case. And also it demonstrates a couple of experiments that I ran for multi-turn chats. And in this case, it's 3 turns. And I'm just gathering some baseline kind of performance and the response times for OpenAI resource, which is deployed in South Central US region, while my application runs from the West US geography. So you can see there's Azure OpenAI processing time as well as Azure OpenAI Studio browser request response time. And you can see that the processing time is definitely much smaller what it takes to generate completion versus what it takes to deliver the response to your application. So just take a look at this, please. And then what we want to do next, we want to embed this into our application. So first of all, to generate or to work with prompt engineering and generate that prompt on demand as you continue into your conversation, this is much like what ChatGPT application from OpenAI does. Handling context and appending kind of messages and forming and constructing that prompt for the next completion request. So we did this inside of Unity Visual Scripting, and this is just demonstrating another pattern of usage of classes in addition to custom nodes. And in this sample conversation class, all it does basically in a few lines of code, it creates that prompt that I'm looking for. So I'm collecting messages as we go through the conversation. And then this create prompt method just simply creates the prompt for the next request for completion. So if it's an odd message, then it gets attributed with human. If it's a even message, it gets attributed with Clippy. And this is how I create, with the few lines of code only, create a prompt. And then on top of this, I add a context, which is exactly what is described here. Let's take a look how this works. So I go to Unity, and this is my Unity project with the character. We have a graph attached to the character. So just for simplicity of this exercise, we'll not be speaking our responses kind of out loud, and will not be listening. I just implemented basically disabled toggle start here, enabled toggle start here, and then removed unnecessary transitions that we can focus only on this part. And then in here, we have basically the full-fledged implementation of this thing here, which is appending message, creates the class of sample conversation, appends messages, and then executes speak, listen, turns, and so on. But instead, for this quick presentation, we'll just basically focus on enter state. And this will be just essentially doing the same thing, but just instead of speaking, we'll output to the console. So we have 3 turns. On each of those turns, we will basically do a request, which is like, what's Azure Cognitive Search, what are the benefits of Azure Cognitive Search, and how can I index my data with Azure Cognitive Search. And then after this, like you can see that we're using this class to create a prompt, submit this prompt to the completions endpoint through the sample web API custom node. And then after this, we'll just output that prompt, so you will see like how fast this can be. Then to take advantage of this class, so you also have to add this in preferences. You have to add this to the custom types and then regenerate nodes. So then this class becomes simple conversation class becomes available for selection. Another thing which I mentioned, it's in here. So in order for you to keep using this class, because we're using this not in the code, we're using this in Unity Visual Scripting, you have to check this chainable checkbox, and then you can pass the reference to the instance of this class from one call to another. And this way, how we know that like we appending those messages to that instance of the class. So this is how it's constructed, and now let's take a look how this works. So I will launch the app, and it will basically display me 3 completion responses to completions endpoint in the console. So we're waiting for 5 seconds just to initialize everything, and here we go. Just 1, 2, 3. At 13:12:41, we got our first completion endpoint response. Then at 13:12:42, we got the second completions endpoint, and you can see all of the information about how we constructed that prompt is included in the console. And then at 13:12:43, we got the third one. So this is as simple as 1, 2, 3, and this is how this works. Thank you.